band as well. If you do join us in future, I think you guys will fit right in. And now I would like to introduce Kumaril Kapoor, a proud alumnus from NIT Calicut, an industry veteran and senior director at Cisco Engineering, to kickstart today's session. Over to you, Kumaril.
Thank you, Tulika, and I am indeed excited to meet everyone in today's session. I believe we are laying a strong foundation of continued engagement with each other through these connects. To make these interactions more organic and engaging, I'm happy to launch 2 new tracks to Cisco Resonance. We already gave a sneak peek into one of these new tracks at our launch session and through Crescendo. Yes, we are now launching a musical track called Ripples that has already created a lot of buzz in the campuses across the country. As you know, music doesn't know any language, doesn't have any barriers. It is more about feeling the vibrations of soul, which can lift everyone up and provide the energy one needs to pursue their dreams. Cisco Resonance is all about learning and leading that is fueled by the dreams and hard work of those who are early in career. Our second latest track, Aura, is all about collaboration and unwavering team spirit. We hope that these tracks will help us to build a stronger community with better and more focused interactions. I would also like to congratulate our different campus ambassadors. We really hope that you will become the bridge between Cisco and your university. Thank you everyone who came forward to represent their campuses and express interest in learning more about Cisco. And now it is time to get this edition started with our first track on technology called Genesis. This is technology beyond imagination, as you all know. As the name also suggests, you go crazy with your imagination and bring out the topics you want to hear or have the sessions on. Idea is to cover or touch different areas of technology based on your interest. So as we go forward, make use of it. Use Aura and campus ambassadors to make it more effective. Now moving on to today's topic, as you all know, it is about 3 C's. It is pride for many of us what we achieved as part of all IP network for Reliance Jio. It wasn't only for Reliance and Cisco, but this transformed many areas for our country as this rollout had so many touch points across people, regions, different status of society, and more importantly, it gave teeth to 1 billion people to grab their share by providing the technology at their doorsteps. Easy to use, easy to consume. And our speaker for this segment is Anshul Tamar, who is principal engineer at Cisco, spends most of his time architecting networking systems and solving networking challenges. During his tenure of 20 plus years at Cisco, he has architected and built products for large tier 1 enterprises and mobile service providers. He also has led the architecture definition and deployment of timing synchronization services for Reliance Jio network to deliver time as required by 4G LTE networks, which he's going to talk about in this segment. He has many patents to his name, co-authored a research paper on predicting vulnerability in large code bases with deep code representation, and also he's co-authoring a book. With this, I invite Anshul Tamar, a technologist and a pragmatist, to take us through this amazing journey.
Thank you, Kumaril, for a rather generous introduction. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Genesis track once again. This evening, I'm very excited. One, for being in this lovely Cisco campus after a year. But mostly, I'm very excited to speak on this topic, or rather a journey actually, which I was personally a part of, along with many others at Cisco. And this is all about transformation. And to keep the topic as exciting as the journey, we have called it as transforming three C's. And to get a glimpse of these transformations, let's just watch a video first. Can we have the video, please?
India is all about bazaars. These small mom and pop stores, we thought about starting shop clothes to bring all of these bazaars online. Handicrafts are a part of my tradition. When I started my business, the middleman would take all the credit. That's when I decided to put my name on the products. The time had come to build a large company, but it took way longer. And then Jio came in, and then it just took off. I now have a Jio phone. My products are sold in 20 countries outside of India. Suddenly, women have access to their own device. 20% of our 600,000 merchants used to be women. Now, about 40% is women. My dream is that the daughters in my community match stride for stride and walk shoulder to shoulder with the rest of the world.
Between a dream for India and a new reality, there's a bridge. Cisco, the bridge to possible.
All right. So I'm sure you have all figured out all these three C's, which is country, customer, and Cisco. No surprise there. But for each C out there, there is a different aspect of transformation, and that's what we are going to talk about today. For country, I call it socio-economical transformation, how India as a country got transformed socio-economically. For customer, and that's Jio for today's talk, is a business transformational journey. And last but not the least, Cisco itself got transformed during this journey. And I call it challenges and innovations journey. And we'll soon know why. Now, as the name suggests, this journey has been full of challenges. There have been business challenges, process challenges, human resources challenges. But for today, we'll talk mostly about technical challenges. Of course, we all engineers love challenges. Why? Because that gives us the opportunity to innovate. And we'll still stay on this slide. So the journey itself started in 2013-14, where Reliance Jio announced that they would want to build a 4G network, a 4G mobile network that would be pan-India day one. And at Cisco, we got excited. Of course, this was a great business opportunity. But we engineers at Cisco also got excited for one more reason, and that is the engineering complexity that this opportunity will throw at us. And that's why I also call it as a backstage story, an engineer's story of getting exposed to new challenges and solving those challenges at scale. Of course, at that time, we didn't know that come 2016 and we would have designed and built world's largest IP network. Next slide, please. So the video that you saw showed how accessibility to affordable net can have wider socio-economical changes. And that was at a micro level. So, that was taking example of two women, Pabiben and Radhika. And if you notice, both in varied economical positions. And not only they got transformed, but just think about the influence that they would have had on the whole society around them. Looking at the macro level, if you look at consumer segment, the price per gigabyte, GB as we call it, right, has reduced 20 times. High-speed broadband users have increased 5 times, and so did the data consumption. The video also talked about this, that we were 150th at the position where we were consuming data, and today we are number 1 in the world for the data consumption. The voice is now free, which is essentially a shifting the whole revenue model from voice-based to a data model. And India also got its mass scale network. The India IP network grew 10 times. Today, about 90% of users, the mobile users in India, are on 4G, and it is estimated that about 98 to 99% of mobile users in India will move to 4G sometime this year. Next slide, please. Now, talking more about this mass scale network, and actually we created largest all IP network, a network which is handling 1 exabytes of data per month, which is about 30 terabytes of data per day. There are about 400 million LTE subscribers. Remember, LTE and 4G I will probably use interchangeably. For this talk, they mean the one and the same thing. And what you see on the left-hand side, the picture, is this mass scale network that we are talking about and its reachability throughout India. This network has about 300,000 routers and switches deployed across India. And what you see as a picture, and I really like this picture on the right bottom, is the New Delhi area alone, which has about 10,000 routers. Now, if you look at this picture very closely, there are green dots, blue dots, and red dots. And these are all Cisco routers out there deployed. The green ones are the smaller routers. We call it as access routers because these provide the basic access to the network. The blue ones are the ones which are aggregating these green ones, the smaller ones, and the red ones are the ones which we call it the big routers are main aggregators, which is aggregating the whole region or that area. Now, why I like this picture, and I'm very proud to say that all these green and blue color routers that you see out there were architected, designed, developed in Cisco Bangalore, right here in this office. And I've been a part of that team, and I still relish those times when we were designing, developing, and actually deploying these routers out there, not only in Delhi area, but pretty much across the India. Can we go to the next slide, please? While we talk about 300,000 plus routers getting deployed, right, a question could pop up, and I think it must pop up, that data centers also have massive networking equipment inbuilt then. And so what's so special about this mobile backhaul networks? And that's where I wanted to bring this environmental factor out there with few pictures to show where exactly these routers and switches routers are deployed and what conditions they are deployed in. Remember, this network is pan-India, so the routers are deployed everywhere in geodiverse locations, in places that you might not have imagined. Let's think about that. These routers are out there on streets. They are in the environment of your apartment buildings, outside your living community, on the highways, in the jungles, on the mountains. These are also in Chennai and Pondicherry places, right? I mean, the cities like that, which are hot and humid. There is no hard feelings against Chennai. I love Chennai. I've lived there for a couple of years, and I love that city. But that's the condition, right? These will also be deployed in Jodhpur, Jaisalmer, which is dry and desert. Again, no hard feelings with Jodhpur and Jaisalmer. I come from Rajasthan. I've seen it all. These will also be deployed in Jammu and Kashmir. But, if you look at the right bottom pictures, that's the environmental conditions that, these boxes have to go through. I can actually see on some of these hardwares a sand dunes building on top of the hardware itself. And what you see on the right, the mobile backhaul picture, it's really a real deployment in Mumbai, which is next to a cow shed. Come rainy season, and this location is not even accessible for maintenance and other purposes, etc. Can we next slide, please? So the network was not first built and then launched. The process was continuous. We didn't take X time to say first we will build it and then we will launch it once it's ready. No, the process was continuous. Keep building it, whatever gets built, launch it, you need to expand it, plus keep building the new one. And what scale? We are talking about 300,000 routers that got deployed. And then, let's do a math for a second, right? If we deploy about 1,000 routers per week, given about 50 odd weeks that we have in a year, it will still take more than 5 years to deploy 300,000 routers. It will take 5 years. And then, deploy itself is not like go place it in a nice looking rack, but deploy it wherever it is needed. Remember the places that we talked about earlier? Even if there is an army of people out there deploying, the management still needs to be done at a central place. And these people can just probably install them physically, connect cables, but that router which got deployed out on a street, road, and other places needs to be integrated into the whole network, needs to be tested whether it is operating fine or not, needs to be troubleshooted in parallel if things go wrong. Remember, the networks now have become a lot more critical. People are calling police, people are calling ambulances and whatnot. So, there has to be a redundancy and resiliency in the network itself. Now, isn't that getting interesting? So now, at one point during this journey, we realized the massiveness of this network. We at Cisco, more than to anyone else, we promised that we would take this up and innovate at every challenge. Can we go to the next slide, please? So for the innovations itself, there were multiple areas, and I'm trying to bring few of these areas and few of these innovations out here. First was really in the mobile backhaul products to handle the environmental conditions. We designed routers with passive cooling, and these have no fans. And it does two things, right? One, with the passive cooling, these are much more energy efficient. That means you get a better carbon footprint there. And also, since there is no fan, there is no dust or a lot of humidity coming inside the hardware to damage it. And at this moment, right, I want to give a shout out to hardware engineers, thermal engineers, and mechanical engineers. Without their help, it would not have been possible. We in Cisco, there is a saying that goes that you could design the best system in the world, but if thermal engineer and mechanical engineer is not approving it, it's not going out in the production. It's not going to get shipped. And I guess that is true in any product that you see people use. You take smart watches, for example. You take phones, for example. You take electronic vehicles, for example. There is certain law of physics. There is thermal, mechanical, hardware engineering that goes, and it needs to sustain where it is getting used. Next slide, please. One another area was really these mobile backhaul networks. I'll give you a technical information that each base station that you see, which maintains accurate time, they need to maintain accurate time at the accuracy of 1.5 microseconds. And that pause I did was intentional, right? And it was not a mistake. It's 1.5 microseconds. And how do you deliver time to these base stations? Remember, these base stations are below these towers that you see. So there are only two ways to deliver time there. One is, you put GPS antennas, you take time from satellite and provide the time, pretty accurate time to the base station, but that's costly. The other way is the time could be delivered via packets over the network, via protocols like PTP, precision time protocols. But then, yes, the time could be delivered via packets, but then to get the accuracy of 1.5 microseconds, that is where I want to give a shout out to networking engineers, embedded software engineers who are working on oscillators, PLLs, phase lock loops, right, on the timestamping of these packets. And also, there is a lot of innovation that goes into the path switchovers, the network to make sure that the network is always up and resilient. Next slide. Now, this mass scale network definitely needs to be managed. And here I remember there is a good friend of mine, his name is Krishnaji Panse, and I talked to him that, hey, how will you build this and deploy and manage this network? And then, he said simply, hey, it's a software problem. All we need is a little bit of networking expertise that you guys can give us. And then, we can create a software solution. And he went on to lead the Cisco automation platform. So the network that you see, and that was actually, we didn't have it at Cisco at such scale. And he went on designing and architecting the whole automation platform. The network that you see there, 95% of this network is automated. By automation, there are two types of automations, right? One is how do you automate the build portion of the network, and how do you automate the operational and the functioning of that network. So for a build, if you see, there's about 70 seconds per router onboarding. That means you put a router out there in a field, connect with the cables, and after 70 seconds, it's up integrated into the network. That means the piece of software, which is the automation software, went out, reached this router, made the test, checked whether it is properly integrated and it's in the right location, etc. or not, and then give a thumbs up saying, the router is ready to be onboarded on the network. The network operations itself are about 90% automated. The whole network that we see, in 4 hours, somebody could actually do a full network config audit out of that. And here I want to give a shout out to software engineers and full stack engineers. I mean, without their help, the whole Cisco automation platform would not have been possible. And remember, these are the one point that you will see that I'm subtly making is that you see innovation in every aspect, whether that's a hardware thermal engineering, whether that's a embedded software engineering, or a networking engineers, or whether it's absolutely completely software or cloud enabled engineering. Next slide, please. Now with that, I'm coming to the end of my talk. And is the journey ending? Absolutely not, right? In 2016-17, as I said earlier, we created the largest all-IP network for Geo. In 2019, Reliance launched another network, if not same, but at least a similar scale, wherein they started this network to provide fiber at home. Last year, December, Mukesh Ambani announced that Jio 5G will be available sometime this year. So the journey continues. And what does this journey really means? As I started, right? A journey of challenges and innovations to solve complex and unforeseen problems, which we all engineers love. So with that, I want to thank all of you once again for dialing in. And I would like to end with, 3 messages. One, stay connected over these complex networks that I talked about. Sorry, I'm an engineer. Please stay safe and during these COVID times, and keep looking out for complex problems. Once you find those problems, keep looking out for simple and innovative solutions, because that's all what we do at Cisco. So with that, thanks a lot. Over to you, Tulika.
Thank you, Anshul, for sharing that heartwarming story of empowering and transforming a country and a customer. It was truly imbued with innovation and resilience, the values that make Cisco the technology leader that it is today. And I know that you have a book launch in May, so wishing you all the best for that. Moving on to our next segment called Odyssey on Community Impact, where we touch upon our flagship program, the NetAgat project that impacts and empowers more than 3 lakh students in India. And to talk more about it, we have our next speaker, Kumkum Arora, who is a business development manager for Cisco Social Innovation. She's a passionate CSR professional who strives to make our communities better, and she's an alumna from the prestigious, well, wait for it, Harvard University. But before Kumkum takes over, I have an interesting video that I think you will all find useful. I'm told that there's already a lot of buzz around this. So can we cue the video, please?
During the first round of the Cisco Ideathon, you are asked to solve 25 MCQs based on CCNA.
The second round was a video submission round. This round specifically was an interesting round as it gave me an opportunity to bring out my ideas on problems related to rural healthcare, rural education, and water scarcity. It was mainly to talk about how technologies like 5G and IoT can make an impact on these problems.
And then paired with this video round was another quiz. This quiz had questions from networking, 5G, and IoT. After this, we had another test. In this test, we had questions from technical skills and aptitude, along with one more programming question.
After we cleared this round, we were invited to Cisco campus for our final round of interviews. That day, we had 3 interviews, technical, managerial, and HR. The technical interview again covered a range of topics, right from networking to the projects I had completed to the certifications I had done. It was a very wholesome experience because at every stage, a different skill of mine got tested. The day when I finally received the mail from Cisco saying that I had cleared the interviews, I was overjoyed. To be able to work for a firm which is accredited to be the world's best workplace is something I just dreamed of. Cisco solutions are deployed worldwide to provide services and solve problems, and to be a part of this chain is something which excites me to the core. To be part of global problem solving and work alongside inspiring leaders is something which I'm really looking forward to.
Hello, everyone. I hope you all are fueled by that fascinating video. What better on a Friday than to be speaking with you all, young and energetic bunch of folks who are the future of this country and of the world. Once again, my name is Kumkum, and I am part of the Cisco Networking Academy team in India. And what you saw was the Cisco Ideathon 2019 video. And what you see here is about the Cisco Ideathon 2020. So before jumping onto these attractive numbers you see on your screen, what is Ideathon, and why did we start with it? So it is very much in line with today's theme of diversity and inclusion. And Ideathon is a program where Cisco decided to offer opportunities to students across the country. And these students are LETICAD students across the colleges of the country to have an opportunity to participate and get a chance to work with Cisco. So this started when the leaders of Cisco and different teams of Cisco came together to run this program. And what you see here is the entire program journey, which you see in these steps in front of you. and the 2020 program was launched in August, and the process went on till the month of October. There were several steps of assessment, which you see here and which you also heard in the video from the 2019 candidates. And it's a phenomenal learning journey for students who participated. And, you can see yourself, we had 20,000 plus student registrations for this program in 2020. And these students came from 24 out of 29 states in India. So that's where we wanted to celebrate, that Ideathon and NetAcad reaches students of all the states. And 188 NetAcad colleges participated in this program from all these states. And finally, in the month of October, when we ended the assessment process, 141 NetAcad students were offered full-time internship in Cisco. And they are currently on board with us, getting towards finishing off their internships in the month of June, and then prepping up for joining us full time. So this is the journey of students in the 2020 Ideathon program. And next slide, please. Do you want to know what it took for these students to, come into this program and finally get selected to work with Cisco? It took them, they were a NetAcad student. And who is a NetAcad student and what is Cisco Networking Academy? So Cisco NetAcad is a global flagship CSR program of Cisco, and it is India's fastest growing blended learning edtech program. Now, these are a lot of terms packed in there together, but by blended learning, we mean that it's the courses, the content, the learning students get here is self-paced, but is also supported by instructors. Here you see this Cisco NetAcad program started in 1997 and is currently present in 180 countries across the world. And at this given moment, while you and me are speaking, there are 2.3 million students are currently learning here. But what are these students learning? This is what you see here is the whole Pandora box or the vast portfolio of courses which students can access when they become a NetAcad student. And these courses range from networking, programmable infrastructure, cybersecurity, a lot of virtual simulation tools like Packet Tracer, since now we all are learning virtually. And this is what we have in the box for you. And if you are a NetAcad student already, you must be familiar with these courses, with the platform, with everything. But if your college is not yet a Cisco NetAcad, they can sign up, they can go to netacad.com or just type on Google, we want to become a Cisco NetAcad, and you'll go on there. Someone a student, learn for their whole life, and bring it back to the theme. Talent is an opportunity is not, and programs like Ideathon are doing what stands true on this day. And Ideathon are the programs which get access to when you become a NetAcad student and have completed some courses on NetAcad, while other programs like Talent Bridge, which also matches you with your prospective employers, is another resource which you get when you become a NetAcad student. Other programs like Global Problem Solver Challenge for budding entrepreneurs is endless programs. Like I can speak the whole evening about that, but it all has to start with you, and that's where it all ends. So thank you all. Looking forward to this year's, most of you coming up and joining us with NetAcad and Ideathon, and have a good evening. Back to you, Tulika.
Thank you, Kumkum, for sharing about NetAcad and Ideathon. I'm sure that you have inspired a lot of our audience members to enroll and participate in the same. And we never know, some of them will get the winning ticket to come and join Cisco. And with this, we are inching towards the end of today's edition, and we have saved the best for the last. Up next, in our culture track called Athena, we have our bright-eyed and bushy-tailed Nikita Joshi in a fireside chat with Abhinav Shekhar, who leads the Pride ERO across APJC, and they will talk about how Cisco provides an inclusive and safe space for all. So let's get started with the video. Can we?
Working here at Cisco has impacted my life more so than I ever would have expected because of the work that we get to do every single day, both in our job and in changing the world.
People should come to work for Cisco because we already have such a great inclusive and diverse culture, but we can be even more diverse and even more inclusive if you come to work at Cisco.
Authentic for me is probably being who you are without the societal pressure around you.
And I, in a lot of ways, was not authentic to myself because to my friends and family, to my classmates, my teachers, I was a straight Jamaican American man who just kind of did his schoolwork, stuck to his books. But that wasn't really who I identified as, me personally. I consider myself a gay man.
Cisco is a wonderful place to be. People here are so supportive. People here encourage you to be who you want to be, and you get to define who you are at Cisco in many different ways.
Regardless of who they are and how they present and show up in the workplace, you'll be listened to. Listened to for your ideas and what you can contribute to the goodness of this company.
You should come work at Cisco because we're having a tremendous impact on the world. We're creating technologies that enable all different sorts of communities around the world to either create business, protect the environment, communicate with each other. It's the backbone of the internet, and it's just such an exciting place to be working.
I would encourage you to, leave your tattoos out. Please bring your energy, bring your full self. We need all of you, not just a piece of you.
Your presence and your openness give me permission and give a lot of people permission to be in a much more powerful way. Thank you to everybody just for making this a great place to work.
And the fact that the company was so willing to support me in giving us and carving out a place for us as members of the LGBT community to show our collective voice and that the company stands behind that was pretty empowering for me.
Wow, that was such a beautiful video. With this, I would like to welcome our today's guest, Abhinav Shekhar. Thank you, Abhinav, for joining us. Would you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, you all. I'm Abhinav, and I go by he, him, his pronouns. I work as a technical consulting engineer in the Solution Validation Services team, which is a part of CX, and I'm located in Bangalore. I graduated from MS Rama Institute of Technology, Bangalore in 2016, and I will celebrate my 5th work anniversary with Cisco this year. In addition to that, I lead the Cisco Pride Inclusive Community for the APJC region.
Thank you for the introduction, Abhinav. Now we all are very inquisitive about the Pride Inclusive Community and would love to hear more from you.
So, Cisco Pride is a resource group of like-minded people who are dedicated to ensuring that Cisco is a safe and welcoming workplace for the LGBTQIA+ community. And we do that essentially by creating a culture where people can bring their 100% authentic selves to work every day without any fear of being judged, discriminated, or having to cover any aspect of their individuality.
That's a great initiative. So now I would want to know, what does pride mean to you on a personal level and how your journey has been so far?
Well, pride is so close to my heart, and one of the reasons behind that is I identify as a community member myself, and also my commitment to creating a world where everyone has the equal right to live, love, and be their most authentic selves fiercely and fearlessly. Right? So like a lot of people, I figured out my sexuality back when I was in high school, and I was barely out to people back then. And it was pretty much the same even at my college. I never imagined to be out at work, honestly, and although it took a great deal of courage to break that barrier, I'm so glad to have found a culture so welcoming, people so inclusive, that I never felt like I was treated differently. My voice was always heard, and ever since I came out to my manager and colleagues, they've been extremely supportive, curious to learn more, and most importantly, support better, understanding more, and evolving in their journey of being an ally to this cause.
That's really motivating, Abhinav. Okay, so now, will you please elaborate why do you think Cisco is a great workplace for LGBTQ plus community members?
I totally love how inclusion is deeply and firmly rooted in Cisco's culture at all levels, right? All the way from executive level to VPs, directors, and individual contributors, including interns. It truly is a place where no one puts any label to people and treats everyone equally, fairly, and respectfully. I think Cisco's acknowledgement for the need for mental and emotional well-being of employees in general, not just LGBTQ+, is very well received. In particular to LGBTQ+, given the challenges that community members often deal with are intense and endless. Having resilient mental health is of prime importance. It empowers people to focus on their career goals, develop skills, and most importantly, make sound business decisions, right? So kudos to Cisco on that. The other part that I wanted to talk about is regarding Employee Assistance Program, EAP, which is a great resource for folks who need counseling support and assistance to address difficult life situations and navigate life challenges. On a personal level, when life threw lemons that I struggled to catch, EAP was my only go-to place and savior. And finally, I want to talk about mentorship, which has played a hugely instrumental role in developing my approach to solving problems and helped me gain a much wider view of the professional world. As a result of which I think I've developed and transformed in unimaginable ways. I had the opportunity to be mentored by a leader in Portugal, and I had a wonderful experience, discussing, talking, and learning countless things, right? We talked about our cultural differences and yet tons of similarities when it comes to the experience community members have and the lives that they live, right? His coming out journey in Portugal and how I could plan on coming out to my family members and at work, leadership skills, a lot of professional topics such as what are the several challenges that LGBTQ plus people often face at work, and how do we go about solving those, tackling those, exploring several career pathways, and the list is truly exhaustive. Now think this was possible because of a firm and deep connect that we developed due to a lot that we share in common. So yeah, at Cisco, I think it's all about amazing people, amazing teams, and amazing benefits.
I totally second that, Abhinav. We have great team and bonding here, and the people's deal is crafted in a fabulous way. So now you mentioned about the benefits that Cisco provide to the LGBTQ plus community members. What are those?
So our benefits and policies are inclusive to the community members, which means that we acknowledge and understand that gender identity is not just limited to male and female. Cisco's forms and documents have options for transgender people as well. Our workday profiles allow us to list our pronouns, list our sexual orientation, and we even replace spouse with partner to ensure that we cover the entire spectrum of people. Now, there are multiple training programs and opportunities for those who are keen on learning more, such as unconscious bias, pride allyship degree plan, etc. Numerous benefits such as retirement benefits, leave, including wedding leave, insurance coverage, etc., are all gender neutral. The insurance coverage also allows employees to cover the same-sex partners. Being mindful of legal restrictions in our country, what we have also done is allowed live-in couples and unmarried LGBTQ plus couples to avail these benefits. Furthermore, necessary health benefits for transgender people, such as gender transition-related treatment of employee and or their partner, is eligible for reimbursement. The parental leave, which is typically and traditionally called maternity and paternity, has been revised to primary and secondary caregiver, and that's a gender-neutral term, right? So depending on the country, there's also support provided to LGBTQ plus folks in terms of adoption and surrogacy I'd also like to talk about the gender-neutral washrooms, or what are often called as all-inclusive washrooms, which is set up in our campus to benefit many people, including transgender people, gender-diverse individuals, or those who often have discomfort accessing the labeled ones. Finally, during difficult life-changing circumstances, or let's say coming out of family, one could avail the emergency leave option as well. In such situations, EAP, the Employee Assistance Program that I talked about a while ago, at Cisco also provides anonymous counseling options and is a great behavioral health benefit for LGBTQ plus people and their dependents. So yeah, we are totally on our mission to continue adding to our benefits portfolio and ensuring that we are keeping up with the industry standards.
Wow, those are some handful of benefits. I'm really proud to be a part of the organization who takes care of their employees in such a manner. My next question to you, Abhinav, is what has it meant to you to have the Pride Network at Cisco?
So the existence of Pride Network boosts my sense of belonging and gives me a huge confidence to be my true self every day. I've made great relationships with people across the globe, and what's fascinating is that I've not met most of them in person yet. Right? So to me, like most of the people would agree, this network is really like a chosen family where, we talk about the good and bad, listen to sad and inspiring stories, understand people, their lives, their journeys, empathize, care, and support as and when required. Not shy away from seeking help during tough times, reassure each other that it will get better, and truly inspire every day.
Abhinav, we are very close to the end of our segment. Any closing thoughts or advice for our young audience?
So my generic advice to all is, while sexuality is not a choice, being an ally is. So please choose wisely, because your support can mean the world to someone. And to all the community members out there, I want to say that truly owning your individuality can actually be your superpower, right? So if you're looking to be your most authentic self with us, then we are looking for no one but you.
Thanks a lot, Abhinav. It was lovely talking to you, and I hope our audience also enjoyed with us. Until next time, adios, folks.
Thank you, Nikita and Abhinav. I love that we can bring our whole selves to Cisco without any fear of judgment and discrimination. And as Cisconians, we really wouldn't have it any other way. And with this, we have come to an end to this great session. I am told that we have over 15,000 views or unique participants that have joined us from different colleges across the country. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in today. It's your enthusiasm and interest that keeps us going and motivated to continue on this wonderful journey. We hope you enjoyed today's session, and we will come back in May. And I'm delighted to announce that the theme for the next session is Future of Work, Rukna Mana Hai. May we remain unstoppable and continue to walk together on this beautiful journey called Cisco Resonance. Stay safe and goodbye.
This is a time that none of us have really ever experienced.
At Cisco Italy, we are all okay, safe and doing good. But the situation here in the country is tragic.
This is a time where managers need to be leaders and human beings.
You're not going to be able to do it all in this kooky, crazy time.
We just want to say a huge thank you for everything that you're doing, for our customers, for our teams. Please take care of yourself.
We have employees who are working from home, whose children are out of school, and we need to be flexible. We need to understand that those kids need their parents, and they don't understand work hours.
teams here, Chuck, are supporting each other. They're resilient.
Two best practices I've noticed that my team has done. They've been doing virtual cocktail hours. They're checking in on each other. I love that.
Humor is a wonderful way to relate, to communicate, to support each other.
Where do you get your quarantine haircuts?
Keep from laughing as I'm reading the chat here, and they're interested in whether it's a flow bee or is it your wife.